Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. Another accusation of sexual assault at a tourist resort in Jamaica has been put in the international spotlight. A woman who says she was sexually assaulted by an employee at a Sandals resort is accusing the hotel chain of mishandling the reporting of her case to authorities. The details from ABC News.
As glamorous as the Riviera.
It's one of the hottest luxury resort chains, welcoming over 10 million guests across 30 years.
But it's even better because it's in Jamaica.
But Melissa Blayton says her Jamaican vacation to Sandals Ochi Beach Resort last year was anything but relaxing.
Little did I know that it was going to turn into something that I can never take back.
She says one of the resort's employees offered her a solo sailing excursion and that once they were alone on the water, he physically and sexually assaulted her.
You trust these people that are paid to make sure you're having a great time.
She says when she reported him to the resort, she asked if she should call police. She says they told her they would take care of it and rushed her into signing a voucher for a future trip, which included a non-disclosure agreement. Ashley and Jeff Pascarella say something similar happened to them.
We had a lot of dreams, just that it would be, just the perfect wedding on a paradise island.
They say on the night before their 2006 wedding at the company's Royal Bahamian Resort, the butler provided to them by the company sexually assaulted the bride-to-be.
It's the day before a wedding. I'm supposed to be that guy to protect her and, care for her, and hours before we're supposed to get married, something like this happened.
They say Sandals offered to reimburse them the $15,000 they spent on the wedding, but only if they agreed to sign a non-disclosure agreement. They refused, and they're now suing for $30 million. These allegations, part of a bombshell series by the Detroit Free Press, claiming women are being assaulted at various Caribbean resorts and then paid for their silence.
There almost seems to be this protocol. Resort management or staff will quickly huddle around, talk to the victim, and they try to take care of things by themselves.
Adam Stewart, the deputy chairman of Sandals Resorts International, says although rare, he is aware of some incidents involving his resorts. How many alleged assaults are you aware of right now?
It would depend as to how far we go back, but a handful.
A handful, meaning like 3, 4, 5, something around that?
Something probably around in the region of around 10.
He says the company has strict safety and security protocols, and for any incident, the police are always called. But Melissa says she never heard from police. In this particular case, this woman says police were not notified, and she was told that the resort was going to handle it. Was that an appropriate response?
In this particular case, and in all cases, the police are notified. We have pioneered and developed safety and security protocols with our customers at the center of it.
As for the Pascarellas, were all protocols followed in that case as well?
That particular case is now before the courts, and I can't comment specifically on it, but I can say that in the hospitality industry, the world over, that anytime we don't deliver, refunds are a part of the tapestry if we don't exceed our expectations.
In exchange for a non-disclosure, though?
Well, a settlement agreement is what we would call it in this particular case, when any type of if any type of refund may be on the table.
Bottom line, do you think offering someone who claims to have been sexually assaulted by one of your employees a refund and a non-disclosure agreement, do you think that's the proper way to handle a situation like that?
Amy, our security protocols are crystal clear.
Veteran lawmaker K.D. Knight is again defending the opposition's decision to vote against the state of emergency, saying it's the right move. He dismissed the critics' argument that the opposition's timing is wrong, especially in light of the strides being made in reducing murders. He reasoned that the security forces don't need a state of emergency to use most of the strategies they currently use. The senator made the comments while speaking in the House recently.
Cordon, search, arrest. And so don't look for excuses for ineptitude. And insofar as this senator is concerned, I will tell you that my view is there is never a wrong time to do what is right.
Meanwhile, the Emergency Powers Review Tribunal for the State of Emergency in St. James is to resume its sittings on Wednesday. It will hear any objection that might be brought by 6 detainees whose detention orders were recently signed by the Minister of National Security. The tribunal can only hear appeals after the minister signs detention orders. Chairman of the Emergency Powers Review Tribunal, Ian Wilkinson, addressed the issue on RJR News Review show That's a Wrap.
The Emergency Powers Review Tribunal remains ready, willing and able to assist the process and to assist all detainees and counsel who come before it. We resume our sittings the 19th of December to facilitate any objection which is filed pursuant to the new 6 detention orders. Even in light of the imminent season upon us, we have made arrangements to facilitate those in custody.
Mr. Wilkinson says it might be necessary to amend the relevant legislation to expand the jurisdiction of the review tribunal.
Right now, the tribunal's jurisdiction is limited to detention orders being issued, and there might be genuine complaints, and if an officer of the state, such as a Minister of National Security, between the police who apparently seek those orders and the minister issuing those orders, if there's any undue delay, then there is the possibility of injustice being done. But that is a matter for the legislature.
Ahead of the impending ban on single-use plastic come January, the government is assuring that all steps are being taken for a seamless transition. The matter was raised at a recent town hall meeting in Kingston.
It's less than a month to go before the ban on plastics take effect, and the questions continue.
Do I not be able to give a consumer a bag, or can I use bags that I have until my stocks are right?
Companies with these issues need to write to NEPA. The decision has to be made on a case-by-case basis, but the metrics for that sort of decision is based on the fact of when you last ordered, what sort of quantity you're carrying.
The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, now has a dedicated email address where manufacturers and other stakeholders can make queries relating to the ban. NEPA's Director for Environmental Management and Conservation, Anthony McKenzie, is urging persons to make use of this facility because come January, the law will be strictly enforced. He pointed to hefty fines.
From $50,000 to $2 million. So that will be enforced come the 1st of January.
In stressing the importance of the measure, Government Senator Matthew Samuda again dismissed criticisms about the possible economic fallout.
Majority of these items, certainly plastic bags, are not produced in Jamaica. Economic fact. Styrofoam, lunch containers, 70% is produced here. Straws, negligible, and we can't get definitive data. The fact is there's no big fallout in the context of your labor force with the production that you're cutting.
Starting January 1, 2019, the government will be imposing a ban on the importation, manufacture, distribution, and use of specific categories of plastic packaging materials. These include single-use plastic shopping bags, styrofoam, and plastic drinking straws. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Residents in Zion Hill, Portland are calling on the National Water Commission, NWC, to fix a leaking pump which is consistently flooding their yards. The residents are complaining that the standing water puts them at risk. Details in this report.
This is not a river or a spring. This is a yard. The water you are seeing comes from a National Water Commission NWC pump in Zion Hill, Portland. The people who live here say they have been having this problem for more than 20 years.
Well, the place is soppy. I can't plant anything up the top there because it's too soft. The water soft in the earth. And down here now, I have to be walking in the water and killing the flowers now because it's treated water.
In my flowers garden, the water turn the flowers black and killing them out. Also, a papa tree that just start to bear and the leaf yellow and rotten the root and it's dying.
Barrymore Williams, the owner of one of the properties, complained that the yards are always flooded and to get across, blocks are used to create a makeshift bridge.
I have to be balanced up myself when I'm walking and the blocks to come in at night. Sometimes if I have to walk in the water, I catch cold.
I can't walk in my yard. If I never put the block, I couldn't walk in the yard, right? I got church, I have to lift up my toes like this.
Mr. Williams says many attempts have been made to have it resolved. However, despite the attempts, the problem remains.
I make more than 50 complaints down there. I call them on the telephone, I go and report the matter to them, but it don't mean nothing to them.
I make so many complaints to Water Commission, call them, and them does nothing to the water. And over my yard overflow every night and day. Sometimes it's the water people them up the pump house, me go up there, me talk to them and tell them what happened. Then does nothing.
Well, they said somebody, and all the person did was to lock off the pump for the whole day. 4 o'clock the evening, the operator came and turned on the pump again, and the water started to come down. So it's like this every day now.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
There's a call this afternoon from Senator Don Webby for an insurance scheme to be set up to assist farmers. He says this initiative would help cover losses they experience from natural disasters. The senator is therefore urging the Agriculture Minister and other relevant stakeholders to start dialogue on the matter.
About our vulnerability as a country to disasters, and in particular the effect of significant weather events on the agricultural sector and the livelihood of our farmers. I'm renewing my call again, Mr. President, for the implementation of a disaster risk insurance for farmers as one method to mitigate the effects of natural disasters on the agricultural sector.
With the Christmas season in high gear, traffic changes are being implemented in towns across the island. In St. Anne, the changes are expected to be in place starting this week and will remain in effect through to January 1, 2019. The details in this report.
It will not be business as usual for motorists in the resort town of Otrius in St. Anne starting on Thursday, as several traffic changes are being implemented to have a smooth flow of vehicular and pedestrian traffic. This was announced by Chairman of the St. Anne Municipal Corporation and Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnavis, at the corporation's recent quarterly media briefing. He told the gathering that for the period, members of a Jamaica Constabulary Force will be assessing the traffic flow and making the necessary changes where needed. As part of the adjustment, some dual carriageways will be turned into one-ways to facilitate the high vehicular and pedestrian turnout for the festive season.
There will be a one-way from Main Street along Old Bucksfield, exiting at the transportation center. There will be no left turn for vehicles exiting the Otrius Market and the Rexa Plaza onto Main Street. So you'll be only able to exit right from the market and of course from the Digicel also. There will be no right turn from James Avenue at the clock. That is really a no right turn as it stands right now anyway. There'll be no right turn from Point Plaza onto the Main Street. And of course there'll be no exit from Bent's Battery onto the Main Street.
In relation to parking,
there'll be no parking in front of Juicy Beef Patties and Kamals. That is actually a no parking zone as it stands right now. So it's just an extension of what it currently exists. There'll be bus parking only along the signs by the craft market. Those signs are currently in the process of being completed. So those craft vendors will be able to have their access uninhibited by the tourists.
And as for Brownstown,
vehicles will then turn into Liberty Drive and continue through Orange Hill to Top Road. Commuters will also be given the option of turning down to St. Hilda's Drive, where they can park on the sides of the street and go directly to the municipal car park. Public passenger vehicles, known as PPV vehicles, will also be able to cross the transportation or access the transportation center from St. Hilda's Drive.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
We go now to news and sports. On the heels of the announcement that the Sunshine Girls have risen to 3rd in the world rankings, Netball Jamaica has received another boost. This time, it's financial, with Dairy Industries handing over $1.5 million to the association at a brunch to commemorate its 60th anniversary. Netball Jamaica President Dr. Paula Daly Morris says the money will be important for preparing the nation's juniors.
The under-21s, as you know, they will be playing in the World Youth Tournament in 2021. And so it's important for us that our sponsors, their industries, decided to remain with netball. And today they handed over the first check to Netball Jamaica, and that will help us to start the development program with that squad in January.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.